How's it going, everyone? Otaku Tavern back at you with another video. And in today's video, I want to talk about like not having anyone in your corner to support you. And this can be family wise, this can be not friendship wise, because we talk about all the time a real friend would not, a real friend wouldn't be like that. So acquaintance wise, which is acquaintances don't matter, but and then dating wise, marriage wise, coworker wise, you get the picture. And there's a lot of people who end up giving up on things because they don't have the motivation or support systems that they need. And that right there is pretty brutal. That's very brutal, as a matter of fact. Like, you know, if like you're a man or a woman, say you got like you want to do a YouTube channel, you got a hobby you want to do, and nobody supports you with your wins. Nobody supports you with your little small victories, or let alone your big victories. And this is very tough to deal with, because when you have to deal with this, it really bleeds dry the motivation and determination of this. So now, basically, with the YouTube channel thing, I've been doing this for over a year now, and it's like, I'm doing this for fun, just to meet people, talk with people, stuff like that. But and just to share my advice. But another thing is, like, if you don't have anyone supporting this, like if you as a YouTuber don't have anybody supporting this, I don't know your situation, but you know, when you're getting, videos, like say you get no views, or you get like videos with very few views, or you're just not really satisfied with it, it's like, this can be extremely demotivating. This can destroy your motivation, your will to want to do this, your spark, your drive for this. It's like when nobody's sitting there in your corner, that right there is brutal. It makes you want to give up. And my advice to you is, don't give up, because when you let that spark die, you're not hurting these other people. You're only hurting yourself, because you're not staying true to yourself, and doing what you're wanting to do with the channel that you're creating. Or this doesn't even have to be a YouTube channel. It could be, like I said, a hobby or whatever, like. But I'm mostly speaking on like a hobby standpoint and stuff. So it's like YouTube, um, anime, gaming. If no one supports you on this, their voices really don't even matter. I'm going to tell you this now, because it's just like in my video that I did with Sasuke video. The only permission you need is the one in the mirror. If you're a woman or a man, you only need your permission to do this hobby. You only need your permission to enjoy this hobby. And it's like, all this other stuff is just normie noise. It's just noise. And, obviously you need God's approval, you need God beside you. I get it, but I'm not necessarily talking about that. But like, I'm kind of talking about from a human standpoint. Like, you you obviously need someone to encourage you, right? It's like, you know, say you're a man and you have a woman and she's kind of, well, you can do this, I believe in you, you'll get it sometime. That's kind of motivation a man would need, if he's doing a YouTube channel, or his friends, also boost him up as well. If he has friends and his family's like, yeah, keep going at it. But no, as a matter of fact, all these people either A, tear it down, or B, they simply do not care. Like, they do not uplift you. As a matter of fact, a lot of cases when they see that you're failing to do this, they're looking at you and saying, "Oh, well, look at that man or that woman. They're failing. I told you they wouldn't do this. I told you it wouldn't happen." And it's like, this happens all the time because people want to see another person fall for some reason. And, I guess it makes them happy in their pathetic existence, I guess. But, like, the thing is like, I'm going to say this is like, you as an individual, I'm going to tell you, don't give up. Keep chasing, keep telling yourself, hey, just one more video, two more videos. Tell yourself this every day and actually upload the videos, right? Keep doing this. No matter if it's a year, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, and you're still not getting anywhere, continue to do it because, one day you will start to gain, even if it's a small following, you can build a small community. That's really all that matters, to get, to be honest with you. Like, you don't have to be having like millions of subs and stuff, but like, if that's what you want, that's fine. But like, try not to focus too much on that part. But like, you have to really stay motivated to do a YouTube channel and, don't give up. And it's like, it's just like, a lot of these people, they don't have anybody in their corner. It's like, think about these men who seppuku, right? Like, they don't have anyone in their corner, and it's like, nobody's listening to them. Like, if you've ever heard the song "Nobody's Listening" by Linkin Park, go listen to that. That song was made in the early 2000s, and it was on the Meteora album, the same album as Numb, right? And, it's like, listen to the lyrics of this song, and he's pretty much laying it pretty raw. Like, tried to give you warning, but no one's listening. Like, when a person wants seppuku, regardless if they're a man or a woman, there are loads of signs they do. And it's like, these people don't seem to care about the sign. That's why they go, "Oh, I didn't know." And it's like, yeah, well, you could have known if you had stopped, being so focused on your career above all else, or if you stopped, focusing on gossip and meaningless, pointless crap. Like trends, social media, who's doing what. That's your problem. That's these people's problem. If they would stop doing all this garbage, they would start noticing. But the thing is a lot of people do not care about the mental health of others, and that's the problem. And I pray that if you do have this problem, you get help. And it's like, I know that's hard to find, but anyway, like, think about all the men who would be here if they had, like, in a metaphorical sense, like their own cheerleader, cheering them on, like a woman for them that was their woman, like, think about, like, "Oh, you can do this, yada, yada, yada," being their little cheerleader. It's like, more than likely they wouldn't seppuku. People seppuku because they have no other option to turn to. They are so wanting the pain to go away. They don't have anybody that they feel they can talk to because they tried to talk to somebody before and it just didn't work. They didn't understand and they didn't care, or they also told them some heartless answers. I've personally been through this. I've seen people been through this, and it's like, I really feel for these people. But it's like that's what I'm talking about. Not having anybody in your corner, that is hard to deal with. And as in, like, an otaku, like, you obviously need other otakus in your corner, basically. And it's like, that's really hard to find because there are a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of casual anime watchers, and just that's overread these fandoms. And like, but anyway, that's another story for another day. But like, it's just, you you can't really win for losing, it seems, with a lot of this stuff. But you know here's the thing though, it's like, really in all honesty, like, I mean, I don't care what people think of me or say of me. A lot of these characters, anime characters and stuff, and other like Asian characters like Resident Evil or whatever, they'll say something encouraging, and it's like, that fuels me, that fuels me to keep going. And it's like, because it's like, I mean, I only have like one true friend that I know of. I mean, there's some people that I talk to, but it's like, still trying to figure that out if they have the best intentions. So it's like, that stuff takes time, and it's like, you really got to be on guard, So anyway, it's like, I think this picture pretty much sums this up, about being, alone and not having anybody to really, it seems like you really can't confide in anybody. And it's like, I know how this is, I mean, I have autophobia, so it's like, I know this all too well. And, this, this problem, for people, it's not going away, but like I said, don't give up. Um, keep going, keep trying, and like another thing too is like my waifus are like my cheerleader. Like I don't really care what anybody has to say about that. I don't care about their opinions or whatever. It doesn't bother me. I mean, their opinion is irrelevant to me, you know. But to me, it matters. So that's, I have like over 5,000 waifus. So it's like, you know, but yeah, just keep going, and don't give up. I understand that it's hard when you don't have someone in your corner, cheering you on, and stuff like that. I know this all too well. And it's like, I've been there for most of my life, and it's like, that's really brutal to have to deal with. So anyway, um, hope everybody is doing well, and I hope that you all can, get through the day and all that stuff, right? So, yeah, anyway, like and subscribe, maybe. Click the bell notification so that you do not miss a video or whatever. But, yep, I will see you all in the next one. Just make sure you don't give up. And if you need somebody to talk to, there's a crisis line you can reach out to, all that stuff. So, I mean, I get it. There, a lot of them don't understand either, but like you got to try. You got to do what you can. But um, yeah, it's like if you want me to elaborate on anything else, feel free to comment in the Discord server if you're in the server. And I shall see you all next time. Peace.